Ladies and gentlemen, friends and fellow seekers of meaning. Today we stand at the crossroads of life and death, between what is and what was. We stand in the quiet space where the tangible meets the intangible, the past intertwines with the present, and where memories are more than just images, they are living, breathing legacies. When we lose someone we love, it can feel as though a chapter in our lives has abruptly come to an end. The presence that once illuminated our world is no longer there to offer guidance, comfort, or laughter. The absence can feel suffocating, like an unbearable weight pressing down on our hearts as we grapple with the reality that the person we cherished is no longer physically with us. But what if I told you that the true essence of those we love, the very spirit that made them who they were, doesn't disappear with their departure? What if I told you that their legacy, one built from love, kindness, wisdom, and passion, lives on in a way that we can carry forward, shaping our lives and influencing the world around us? It's time to embrace that legacy. Asterisk, asterisk, a legacy beyond the physical asterisk, asterisk. At its core, the legacy of a person is not confined to the material things they leave behind. It is not just the photos, the possessions, or the stories that are told about them. While these items can serve as reminders, the true legacy lies in the very essence of their being, their spirit, their values, their way of seeing the world, their capacity to love, and the profound impact they had on those around them. When we speak of embracing the legacy of someone's spirit, we are talking about something much deeper than remembrance. We are talking about the responsibility and the privilege we hold as the keepers of their influence. The lessons they taught us, the examples they set, and the love they shared with us become the guiding lights that help us navigate our own lives. It is through embracing their legacy that we come to understand that they never truly left us. They live on through us in every act of kindness, every decision we make, every moment when we choose to embody the values they held dear. This legacy is not something that needs to be sought or found. It is something that lives within us, in the spaces between our thoughts, in the choices we make, and in the ways we interact with the world. It is a quiet, powerful force that continues to shape our world long after the person we loved has passed on. Asterisk, asterisk, carrying their values forward, asterisk, asterisk. One of the most profound ways we can honor someone's legacy is by living according to the values they instilled in us. If they were passionate about kindness, we can choose to embody that kindness in every interaction we have. If they were driven by a desire to make the world a better place, we can continue that work, knowing that their spirit lives on through the difference we make. If they cherished family, community, and connection, we can deepen our relationships with those we love, remembering that these bonds are sacred. The greatest tribute we can give to someone is not just to mourn their passing, but to make their values a living, breathing part of our lives. Every time we act in alignment with their principles, we breathe life into their spirit, ensuring that it is never forgotten. This is how we transcend the fear of loss, by knowing that their energy, their purpose, their mission in life lives on in the choices we make every single day. It's important to remember that embracing the legacy of their spirit isn't about attempting to replicate their life or replace them. It's about taking the best parts of who they were, the courage, the love, the humor, the wisdom, and allowing those qualities to inform and inspire our own journey. It's about recognizing that we are now the torchbearers, and it is up to us to carry that flame forward. Asterisk, asterisk, transforming grief into power, asterisk, asterisk. Grief is one of the most powerful and sometimes painful emotions we can experience. When someone we love passes away, the grief can feel overwhelming, as if we are lost in an ocean of sorrow with no way of finding our way back to shore. But grief, though it may feel like an insurmountable mountain, also holds the seeds of transformation. If we are willing to confront it with an open heart, we can channel it into something powerful. Embracing the legacy of a loved one's spirit means recognizing that their influence can serve as a guiding force through our own grief. Instead of being consumed by sadness, we can allow the grief to evolve into a deeper understanding of the impact they had on us and on the world around us. It's through this understanding that we can begin to heal and grow. Their spirit becomes the source of strength we need to face each day, to move forward, and to live in a way that honors them. There is something profoundly empowering about knowing that their legacy is in our hands, that we have the power to continue their work, to spread their light, and to carry their memory with dignity and strength. When we embrace the legacy of someone's spirit, we realize that we are not powerless in the face of loss. Instead, we are empowered to live a life that reflects their best qualities, to leave our own mark on the world, and to honor them through our actions. Asterisk, asterisk, the ongoing presence of love, asterisk, asterisk. While it is true that death marks the end of a person's physical presence, it also marks the beginning of a new form of presence. Their love, their guidance, and their influence no longer come in the form of words or gestures, but in the energy that they have passed on to us. This love continues to guide us, to challenge us, and to inspire us long after they are gone. Embracing the legacy of their spirit means understanding that love does not have an expiration date. It is timeless. It is not bound by the limitations of the body, and it cannot be extinguished by the passing of time. The love they gave us lives on in our hearts, in our actions, and in the way we choose to interact with the world. When we embrace their legacy, we accept that their love is now part of who we are. It shapes how we see the world, how we treat others, and how we choose to live each day. This love is not something to mourn or grieve forever, though it is natural to feel sadness and loss. Instead, it is something to celebrate and carry forward, knowing that by doing so, we honor the very spirit of the one we have lost. We carry their love within us as a light that will never go out, illuminating our path as we continue to move forward. Asterisk, asterisk, conclusion, a call to live fully, asterisk, asterisk. In closing, I invite you to reflect on the legacy of those who have passed from this world and to embrace the power of their spirit. Know that they live on through the values they taught you, the love they gave you, and the wisdom they shared with you. You are the vessel through which their legacy continues to flow, and it is through you that they remain present in the world. So live in a way that honors their memory. Live with courage, with kindness, with compassion, and with the same passion for life that they demonstrated. Let their legacy be your guiding star, lighting the way through both the dark moments and the joyful ones. Embrace the power of their spirit, for in doing so, you not only honor them, you honor yourself and the beautiful ongoing journey that lies ahead. In a world that often prioritizes the tangible, the measurable, the immediate, there exists a profound and unbreakable truth. Our connections to others go far beyond what the eyes can see or the hands can touch. This truth transcends the boundaries of the physical world, reaching into the very core of our being. The bonds we form, the love we give and receive, the wisdom we share, and the lives we touch, these things remain long after the physical presence has left us. Today, let's explore what it means to experience and honor the connections that stretch far beyond the physical realm. We often think of loss as a sharp, painful severing, a rupture between two lives that once intertwined. The death of a loved one can feel like a final goodbye, a closing of a chapter that leaves us alone, adrift in a world that suddenly feels emptier, colder, and less vibrant. But if we look beyond the immediate pain, we begin to see something truly extraordinary. Death does not sever the connection, it transforms it. The unseen bond. At the heart of this realization is the profound understanding that love and connection are not bound by the limitations of the physical body. When we lose someone dear to us, their body may no longer walk beside us, their voice may no longer fill the air, and their laughter may no longer echo through our lives. But the essence of who they were, their energy, their love, and the impact they made remains alive in a way that cannot be seen or touched, but can only be felt. It lingers in the spaces between the moments, in the quiet stirrings of our hearts, and in the wisdom that surfaces when we need it most. Imagine this. You can no longer pick up the phone to hear their voice or sit beside them to share a cup of coffee. And yet, in moments of stillness, when you close your eyes, you can still feel their presence like a soft whisper that echoes through your soul, reminding you that they are still with you in some way, shape, or form. This is not just memory, this is connection. We often fail to realize just how deeply we are connected to others. We think that the bonds we share with those we love are limited to the physical world, that they are anchored in time and space, only to be experienced through the five senses. But the truth is that our connections with others are made of something far more ethereal, far more enduring. These connections are woven into the fabric of our being, as inseparable from us as the air we breathe. Love as a timeless force. Love in its purest form is not bound by time or space. It is an eternal force, a thread that ties us together in ways that the physical world cannot always explain. We experience love in its many forms through relationships with family, friends, romantic partners, and even our communities. It fills our hearts, colors our worlds, and motivates our actions. But when we lose someone, love does not vanish with their departure. Rather, it becomes a powerful, invisible force that remains with us. We see this in the way we continue to feel our loved ones with us, even after they have passed. It is as though their love transforms, shifting from a physical expression into something that moves through us, something we carry with us in the way we love others and in the choices we make. Love does not die when the body does. It transcends the physical, becoming a part of our essence, guiding us and shaping us even in the absence of the person who once expressed it. Every time you make a decision based on love, you are connecting to the spirit of those you've lost. Every act of kindness, every compassionate word you speak, every way you choose to honor their memory, and the way you live, these are expressions of that timeless bond. The love you shared continues to resonate within you, shaping the course of your life and spreading outwards to those around you. This is the beauty of connection beyond the physical realm. Love is not something we give and take only when someone is alive. It is an ongoing exchange, an invisible thread that binds us all together, no matter where we are, no matter what happens. It is a connection that cannot be severed, only transformed. The presence that remains. When we lose someone, there is often a desire to have one last conversation, one last touch, one final moment to say goodbye. The finality of death can make us feel as though the person is gone forever, that the physical absence is the ultimate end. But in truth, that is not the whole picture. The connection we share with them, whether it is through their love, their wisdom, or their essence, never leaves. In fact, their presence may be more powerful and more enduring than ever before. I have spoken to many who have lost loved ones, and time and again they share the same sentiment. I still feel their presence with me. It's not always something that can be explained logically, but it is undeniably real. Perhaps it's the sense of peace you feel when you remember their advice in a challenging moment. Or perhaps it's the unexpected reminder of them that appears in a quiet, beautiful moment, a song on the radio, a certain smell in the air, or a place that you once shared together. These are not coincidences. They are signs that the bond we share with those we love is far more powerful and enduring than we can see. This presence isn't confined to fleeting moments. It is in the very air we breathe, in the silent spaces between our thoughts, and in the subtle ways their influence continues to shape the world around us. Whether we acknowledge it or not, the spirit of those we have lost is still present, not in a way that we can hold or touch, but in a way that enriches and guides our lives. Their essence continues to speak to us, to inspire us, and to challenge us, urging us to carry their love forward into the world. Healing through connection. It is important to remember that even in grief, our connections to those we've lost are healing. While we may experience the pain of missing them, we must also recognize that this pain is a sign of the love and connection that remain. The connection beyond the physical realm doesn't make the pain go away, but it gives us the strength to endure, knowing that we are not truly alone. In times of sadness, many have found solace in the understanding that their loved ones are still with them in spirit. This understanding does not diminish the reality of the pain, but it does help us navigate through it. The knowledge that the bond transcends death gives us a sense of peace, a recognition that love in its purest form is not a transient emotion. It is a force that connects us across time, space, and even the boundaries of life itself. Conclusion: embrace the unseen. In conclusion, I invite you to look beyond the physical realm and recognize that our connections are not bound by what we can see or touch. The love we share, the bonds we form, and the wisdom we impart continue to exist in ways that transcend the limitations of the body. These connections are timeless, enduring, and ever-present, even after our loved ones have passed from this world. They live on in our hearts, in our actions, and in the way we choose to carry their legacy forward. So as you continue on your journey, embrace the unseen. Trust in the bonds that cannot be broken and honor the love that cannot die. For it is through these connections, these ethereal ties, that we are truly never alone. Their spirit lives on, always and forever, beyond the physical realm. Grief. It is a word that carries a weight unlike any other, a weight that often feels too heavy to bear, too overwhelming to even begin to understand. The pain that comes with grief is unlike any other emotion. It is not just sadness. It is a storm that rattles the soul, an ache that lingers long after the tears have dried. We often associate grief with loss, the loss of a loved one, a friend, a partner, or even the loss of something within ourselves that we hold dear. It is an emotion that can make us feel small, fragile, and vulnerable in a world that encourages strength, resilience, and self-reliance. But what if I told you that grief in its rawest form is not something to shy away from or fight against, but something to embrace? What if we could find strength in grief, not just to survive it, but to grow from it? What if grief, instead of being an enemy, was a powerful teacher that could guide us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us? Today, let us talk about that very possibility. Let us explore the path that turns grief from something that threatens to break us into something that has the power to rebuild us into stronger, wiser, and more compassionate versions of ourselves. This journey, though difficult, is one that can ultimately lead us to greater strength and deeper growth. Grief, the gateway to transformation. Grief is a journey that begins with pain, but it does not end there. In its initial stages, grief feels like an unrelenting force, a wave that knocks us down and threatens to swallow us whole. We feel its weight in our hearts, in our bodies, and in every corner of our lives. It's an overwhelming, suffocating feeling that can make us feel lost, unsure of who we are without the person, the thing, or the dream we have lost. And in this moment, it's easy to believe that we are being crushed under the weight of it all, that we will never find our footing again. But what we often fail to see in those moments of despair is that grief, while deeply painful, is also a gateway to transformation. It is the process by which we are shaped, tested, and ultimately refined. Like gold in a forge, we are put through the fire of sorrow and loss, and it is in that fire that our strength is forged. Grief teaches us not to resist the pain, but to allow it to move through us. When we resist, when we try to ignore it or bury it, grief only grows stronger and more insistent. But when we allow ourselves to feel it, to sit with it, we begin to understand its deeper lessons. We learn that grief is not an enemy. It is a force of nature, a catalyst for change that shakes us to our very core. It makes us question everything we thought we knew about ourselves and our place in the world. In this questioning, we find transformation. We begin to peel back the layers of who we are and who we have been, and we find that there is so much more to us than we ever imagined. The grief that once felt like an unmanageable weight becomes a mirror that reflects back to us our resilience, our courage, and our capacity to love deeply. It is in the darkest moments of grief that we are shown just how strong we are and how much capacity we have for growth. The journey through grief is a process of shedding old parts of ourselves, old beliefs, old identities, old ways of thinking, and emerging as something new. It is a rebirth, a chance to rebuild ourselves with a deeper sense of purpose, a greater appreciation for life, and a renewed commitment to living fully. The strength and vulnerability. Grief forces us to confront one of our most deeply ingrained fears, vulnerability. In a world that often celebrates strength, self-sufficiency, and resilience, vulnerability is seen as a weakness. We are taught to hide our emotions, to keep our pain to ourselves, and to present a brave face to the world. But grief does not allow us to hide. It demands that we face our pain head-on, that we expose our hearts and allow ourselves to feel everything that comes with loss. At first, vulnerability feels like a curse. It feels like we are being stripped bare, left exposed, and unprotected in the face of our sorrow. We are afraid of being seen in our rawest, most fragile state. We worry that others will judge us, that they won't understand, or that we will never be the same again. But what we fail to realize in those moments is that vulnerability is not a weakness, it is the birthplace of true strength. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we open ourselves up to healing. We give ourselves permission to feel without judgment, to cry without shame, and to grieve without guilt. In doing so, we allow ourselves to process our emotions, to heal, and to grow. Vulnerability is the key that unlocks the door to healing, because it is only when we truly allow ourselves to feel our pain that we can begin to release it. Furthermore, vulnerability brings us closer to others. In sharing our grief with those around us, we create a space for connection, for empathy, and for mutual support. It is in our vulnerability that we find compassion not just from others, but for ourselves as well. We begin to understand that we are not alone in our grief, that others too have experienced pain, and that together we can navigate this journey. Ultimately, vulnerability becomes a source of strength. It is through our willingness to be vulnerable that we find the courage to move forward, to rebuild, and to embrace life again. The strength we gain from grief is not the kind of strength that comes from building walls and protecting ourselves from pain. It is the kind of strength that comes from opening our hearts, feeling our emotions, and growing through them. Grief as the fertilizer for personal growth. One of the most powerful, yet often overlooked aspects of grief is its role as a catalyst for personal growth. While grief can feel like a heavy burden, it is also the soil in which the seeds of personal transformation are planted. In the midst of our pain, we are given the opportunity to re-examine our lives, our values, and our goals. Grief forces us to look inward, to question the things that once seemed important, and to find new meaning in the face of loss. Through grief, we come to recognize what truly matters in life. We begin to see the fleeting nature of time and the importance of living authentically and fully. We realize that we cannot take life for granted, that every moment is precious, and that the things we often think are important material possessions, status, and external validation pale in comparison to the love, connection, and experiences that fill our hearts. As we navigate through grief, we learn to prioritize what matters most. We let go of the things that no longer serve us, and we embrace the people, the experiences, and the values that truly define us. Grief teaches us to live with intention, to make every moment count, and to create a life that is aligned with our deepest desires and truths. Moreover, grief often leads us to a deeper sense of self-awareness. In our sorrow, we begin to question who we are, who we want to be, and how we want to live. This self-exploration can lead to profound personal growth. It encourages us to face our fears, to challenge our limiting beliefs, and to step into new opportunities with a renewed sense of purpose. Grief strips away the illusions and the distractions, leaving us with the raw material of our true selves. It is through grief that we come to understand our own capacity for resilience. We see that even in the face of great pain, we have the power to rise again. We see that growth does not come without struggle, that transformation often requires sacrifice, and that the most beautiful flowers often bloom in the most difficult of circumstances. Grief is the fertilizer for this growth, rich, messy, and sometimes difficult, but essential to the process of becoming who we are meant to be. Conclusion: the power of grief and growth. In conclusion, let us remember that grief is not the end of our story. It is merely a chapter in the greater narrative of our lives, a chapter that has the power to shape us, to teach us, and to help us grow. Grief, in its painful beauty, forces us to confront our vulnerability, to question our priorities, and to open our hearts to the possibility of transformation. It is through grief that we find our greatest strength, not the strength to push through without feeling, but the strength to feel deeply, to be vulnerable, and to rise again, stronger and more resilient than before. It is through grief that we grow, that we become more self-aware, more compassionate, and more attuned to the preciousness of life. So the next time you find yourself in the midst of grief, know that it is not a weakness, but a powerful force of nature. It is the forge in which your strength is created, the soil in which your growth is nurtured, and the light that will eventually guide you out of the darkness. Embrace it, for in the end, grief will not define you, it will refine you. Thank you.